Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today it's like a reunion episode. We're bringing back Vinny Forese. He's been on the show multiple times. He's president and CEO over at Link Systems International. We're going to get into the future of education in an AI-powered world. But first thing first, Vinny, man, welcome back on the show. It's good to see you.
Adam, thank you very much for having me back. I think this is number 3.
How long have we known each other now? I was trying to figure that out. It's been some years.
It's got to be 3. Well, based upon the conversation about how long my hair was when we first met, I'm guessing it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, you were in the. I think we said we were in the grow out phase. Now you're full grown. Yeah,
that's right. I'm here.
Well, let's have some fun today. So, as you know, we'll start this episode the way that we start them all, with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So, Vinny, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, for executives, for experts. That's what we do. Vinny, what mission matters to you?
Well, at this point in my career, it's much more lifestyle and comfort focused. When I was in my 20s, 30s, and even my 40s, I was burning both ends of the candle, doing everything I could to try to build something. Try to build a team that I would be loyal to them, they would stay loyal to me, and just really, it was all about growth. And I'm fortunate to say now the company turned 30 years old last year.
Wow! Congratulations, 30.
A lot of those, when I was in my late 30s, and I had a team of a bunch of young kids, all in their mid to early 20s. I'm pleased to say that most of them have stuck around. They're all now grown adults with families of their own, hungry and eager, and really working to, and they're focused very much in the business. And I get to now spend more of my times as a mentor and a consigliere to them, and I get to work sort of on the business and focus more on sort of bigger pictures, like where are we going to go in the next 10 years? What's going to happen to the company when I no longer want to work here and I'm ready to play golf every day? And so, that I think best describes the mission that matters to me.
Man, that's awesome. I love hearing this. And I'm curious on your end, like what is that like to hit this next stage in your business, to where you're, 30 years in, the people that I think it's an amazing story. They started with you, they're late 20s, early 30s. Now they were grown then, but now they're at a different stage in life, families, kids, like what's that like for you to look back on this?
Like most things, they just remind me that I'm old. The bio that I think we wrote together when I did my book with you says something, and it's the truth. I was one of the very, very early internet education companies. We launched a tutoring product in 1996.
Yeah.
We would call college and be like, we got this great product. And the school would say things like, well, our school doesn't have internet yet.
That's unbelievable for people to imagine that, by the way.
Right. Well, and of course, I do remember it. My career before that, I sold software into retail stores. So like, when was the last time you walked into a CompUSA and bought a copy of Windows on CD-ROM? So
wow.
Like I said, when I hear that, some of it is a little nostalgia for me, but then it's just like, man, am I getting old? I sound like my parents telling me how they used to walk uphill to school both ways.
Back in my day, we had to buy our software from the store and grab it off a shelf.
That's right. I mean, Windows 3.1, when it came out in the early 90s, you bought a box and it had like 15 3.5-inch floppy disks in it. And that's how you installed Windows on your computer. So a lot has changed.
Oh, I love this story, Vinny. It's so much fun having you on. So now, and this is one of the interesting things and reasons why I wanted you on for this particular topic. So talking about AI and how it's going to affect the future education and tutoring and all of that. Maybe let's start with just give an overview of Link Systems International before we dig further into where it's going. Let's talk about where we're at.
Well, we're an educational technology company. So we have software that we mostly sell directly to schools, and whether that's public school systems, middle schools and high schools, or colleges, university systems. We have tools that help teachers and learning centers do things for students, resources for students that help students succeed. And our biggest product line is called Net Tutor, and it's an online 365-day a year, 24 hours a day tutoring service. And we cover just about every middle school, high school, and college class you can imagine, where there are writing assignments or homework or tests. And we cover, reading, writing, arithmetic. That's the bread and butter of what we do is, math and writing. But we cover all the sciences, all sort of nursing, IT, business and economics. So, if it's a class that you could take for a grade, there are things like nurses take phlebotomy where they're learning to literally draw blood in a lab. That's not the kind of thing you go online to get help for. That's something that, you want a live person sitting next to you to teach you to do. But, if you have to write papers about that, or if you have to do a homework assignment, nursing's, dosage. A lot of nurses are great at the nursing material, but they struggle a little bit on the math. And so that's the kind of thing where we can help. And it tends to be focused on sort of there's two sort of main focuses. One are, the community colleges where students get in, right? There's really no, to get into a state university, there's an SAT requirement, there's a GPA requirement, there's some expectation that you have basic fundamental skills. But at the community college, you might have gone to a very, very poor high school. Graduated without really have learned much. You might be now 20, you might come out of the military, you might be 28, 35 and say, listen, I've got to change my life. I want to go back to school. Well, you got to take English Comp 1 and 2, and you got to take Algebra 1 and 2, welcome back to school. And so those students, they need a lot of help. And the school, the teachers' office hours are a great resource, but it's limited. The schools all have learning centers, great resource, but their hours are limited. So if I'm going to school part-time, working full-time, raising a kid, well, guess what? At 11 o'clock at night, when you sit down to actually do your homework, a Net Tutor's there to help you. The other sort of market segment that we do are for the universities. If you want to go get a business degree at a four-year college, you probably have to take 2 semesters of science. So, here you are ready to get a management degree. And then you have to pick, do I want to take 2 years of chemistry, 2 years of physics, or 2 years of biology? That's the kind of class that we help you with. Accounting, business schools often require you to take accounting 1, accounting 2, even though you don't want to be an accounting major. So it's required, but it's outside the scope of what I'm comfortable with. So again, our tutors are there to help these students, and it's true tutoring. We don't give answers. We don't do your homework for you. It is literal the Socratic method. What do you know? What do you think you do next? And, the sessions will last 20 to 60 minutes. And hopefully by the end of it, the student says, oh, I get this now. And now they can leave and finish whatever the homework they were doing and finish their assignment. And, they might come back the next day. They might come back the next month. But it's just a resource there for us to just make sure that there's somebody to support the students.
What do you attribute some of the success, or even just the longevity of this program? And I'm sure there's many things, but walk me through that. Why do you think this has been so long?
Let's start with great leadership. I think that's
how is that great leadership, Vinny?
Listen. There's a couple things. One, obviously, we've got a great team. The folks that are here, you don't get involved with online tutoring because you want to maximize your income, right? This is not a you're better off to go get a job with EA Sports and develop high-end video games to make money. So this is not, this is a choice to do something where you're really giving back to the community, you're giving back to students. And I think no matter the right and the left may not always agree with how we do education or how we should do education, but I think everybody agrees that education is paramount to people's happiness. You know, the
Yeah.
more of an education, the more you learn, and that doesn't have to be college, right? It could be trade, it could be military. I mean, there's a lot of ways. I'm talking about, you know, broad scope learning. But the more you learn, the more you improve yourself through learning, the more valuable you're going to be to an employer, the more valuable you're going to be to yourself, the more ability you're going to have to start something on your own. And so I think the team is there. And I just think, you know, one of the things I love to say is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whenever we look at our data and we look at two groups, we pick any of our customers and we look at a group of students who did not use NetTutor and the group of students who did use NetTutor. Every single time, the group of students who used NetTutor did better in the class. They were persistent and came back the next semester. And they tend to graduate and do degree completion more often than the group that doesn't. And I would love to say, well, that's because NetTutor is the secret sauce. Like, we know exactly how to do this and we get inside your brain. But the fact is, you give me two groups of students, one who don't raise their hand for help and the other who are raising their hand for help, I will bet on that second group every single time. And so our job is, all we are is we're there to answer the bell when they call, right? I raise my hand. You know, I can't ask my roommate. I can't ask my parents. You know, my friends don't know. You know, I'm taking this class in college. My friends can't help me. You know, I can go try to find a learning group, but I bartend at night. Who is there for me right now when I need help? And we're lucky enough to be the group that's there, ready to help at the time. So, you know, I think it's a really nice model in terms of just, you know, if the schools pick us to be their partner and pick us to support their students, you know, our job is easy. The hard part is for the
So,
for help.
So circling back to this concept of AI, like, you've seen a lot of things. So you're going back to the 90s, right? So you've seen like the development, you've seen the internet boom, you've seen all this buildup of infrastructure, and now our most recent, you know, evolution is AI. How is this affecting the education landscape from your vantage point?
Incredible effect, both good and bad, and very confusing for a lot of people. And I still don't think, as an industry, that education has really gotten their head and their hands around how do we embrace AI in a way that makes sense, that's good for the students, but that also maintains the critical academic integrity of what education is supposed to be about. You know, it's funny because, you know, as I prepared for this, we talked about the internet. You know, the internet started before 1995, 1996.
Yeah.
But not much before. You know, AOL was around, but, you know, I don't think AOL was around when I graduated college in 88. And I don't think AOL, you know, you plug in, disconnecting your phone to plug it into your computer so that you could get your AOL email. But I was trying to remind myself, and so the large language models have been around for a while, almost 10 years. But it wasn't until ChatGPT, a chat interface that you could interact with as just a layperson, to actually talk to a language model, and that came out in November of 22. I would have guessed it was much more recent than that. It certainly feels like it's been, but it's actually been almost 4 years. And it's evolved a few times. You know, there was a lot of problems with it. It said some things that were very, very wrong. It said some things that were very, very unkind and inaccurate. But I think the last couple years, we really now have tools that I think most people use in their lives in some capacity. I mean, I know I do. I know I use ChatGPT and Claude for a lot of stuff. I know my developers do. I know my sales team does. My IT team does. And so the question is, how does this affect education, and what exactly are the educators supposed to do?
Right.
And the elephant in the room is cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, whenever they first invented structured education, the next day somebody invented cheating, right?
I'll buy that.
One of the big misconceptions is that somehow ChatGPT and these tools have introduced this level of cheating. That, well, no, what it's done is it's made it really, really, really easy to take a picture of my math homework, upload it to AI, ask it to give me the long worked out solution, and then just write that down on a piece of paper and turn it in as my own work, or ask it to write a paper for me. And so, of course, that's never been allowed. That's always been unethical. It's odd that you would go to college and then cheat your way through college. Yeah. I understand I'm not saying it's a good idea, but if you're in high school and you have no interest in education and you just cheat your way through high school because you want to get out of high school, you're not going back to school, and you're just going to go do whatever job you're going to do. Yeah. Again, that's not right, but I understand it. But why would you pay for additional education, post-secondary education, and yet still do it? But we know it's I've had some educators who I've worked with for a number of years, and I've had a few different at their schools. Homework scores are at an all-time high, and test scores are at an all-time low. Now, that's probably
this is for real. This is for real, Vinny. Like this.
But the theme is true. I can easily now just get 100 on my homework. I want to just use tools that are available to me and not do the homework, not learn it. I can do it. I can, if I forgot to do my homework and I need a quick fix, because tutor and online tutoring is not a quick fix. Like we're going to put you through your paces to make you remember what your teacher said, make you go back to your book, and make you, like we want to work with you. When we're helping you with writing, we're not rewriting your paper. We're making marks on the paper saying, hey, you might want to, your thesis statement isn't clear here, or this looks like you might need to source it better. And now you've got to go back and rewrite your paper. Well, of course, you can just copy and paste that into an AI tool, say, make this better, copy and paste it back into a document and submit it as your own. But that's not learning. But that doesn't mean that AI is all bad. It just means that certain players are using it in ways that were never right.
What are some of and I like that you brought that up, that it's not all bad. Like, what are some of the opportunities like for that AI does create for either, and you could take it from either side or both, for educators or for students? Like, what are some of the opportunities you see?
Well, so we just launched something in May. So I was going to say last month. I guess it's July, so it was 2 months ago. And so what we did is we partnered with an AI company. And so part of our system is we have homework problems, math and writing. And so we cover, grade K, whole number recognition, all the way up through Calc 2, Stats 2, differential equations, some of the much more higher end math.
Yeah.
And so our system, you can always say, take me to a live tutor. The question shows up on the whiteboard. The tutor's there and says, okay, Adam, I see the problem. Why don't you show me how you're trying to solve this? We'll work together. Well, what we did is we now you can ask an AI assistant.
Oh, wow.
And so it loads that question in an AI tool. But we did a couple things. One, we worked with the company so they make sure that this AI tool will never, ever, ever give you the answer. Now, theoretically, if you spend enough time going back and forth and it helps you with the step after step, you will eventually get to an answer, but that's going to take you 20 minutes. Like, you're going to have to work.
A form of learning. Like,
that's right. You're going to work.
Like, that's not easy.
You also can't ask it any other questions. So the question that loaded is the question you get to interact with. And then when you're done, you go back to the homework question. The question changes the numbers. So if it was, what's 4 plus 4, which is a very simple example. But when you come back and say, okay, I've used AI, it says, let me try another one. And now it says, what's 3 plus 4? So you can't use what you learned from AI to answer the question. But then an AI summary is generated. So we put that into the tool. So now the student can see a summary of what AI told them. And then that is also made available for the school so that a teacher or an administrator can see that same summary so that they're aware of when their students interacted with AI. They're aware of what, an AI summary of the AI summary, but the AI kind of tells them sort of the gist in 2 or 3 sentences of what transpired between the student and the AI engine. And as we, and we started piloting it this summer, and the idea is that we'll also be able to then sort of aggregate this information and say, which questions did students use AI the most for? Which did they do better after they use the AI? Did the AI outperform the live tutor, or did the live tutor always prove itself more useful in the student's understanding? And so a student who wants to cheat can just take a picture of the question and go outside the system.
Yeah.
But now the schools can say, listen, we have AI for you. If you want to learn, if you want to use an AI tool, don't feel bad about using this one. This one is not cheating. We sort of sanctions its use. And so, and the question is, will some of the students who would normally go to a live tutor now come to the AI tutor first instead? With students who would otherwise go to ChatGPT or Claude or something like that, where there's no guardrails.
Right.
Will we bring some of them back in so that they can use AI, because they don't really want to talk to somebody, they just want to talk to a computer, but now they know this is safer? And will students who maybe otherwise didn't seek help be intrigued to come now in and try that? And so I think it's kind of exciting for us, and certainly a lot of our customers are very, very, very eager to sort of learn, what does this do for our students? Because, of course, the big problem that schools have with these tools is that they don't know who's using them, if they're using them, if they're using them in ways that are inappropriate. Right? They only see what the student does on their homework and what the student does on their tests.
Yeah.
And so, so that's one area that we've really tried to embrace. And it's funny because I kind of skipped over it, but a little over a year ago, a lot of companies were talking about, I'm going to use air quotes, AI tutoring.
Yeah.
And we took major offense to that phrase, because it's like AI teaching. To say those words, you don't know what a teacher does. You don't know what a tutor does. The academic help using the Socratic method in tutoring, or using teaching skills and presentation skills in teaching, is a big part of what we do. But we have a lot of our sessions, the student come to us and we say, hey, Adam, how can I help you? And they say, I am so bad at math. I shouldn't be in this class. I don't even know why I went to college. This is a waste of money. That's literally it. And so our tutors, who are, of course, trained.
So how does AI deal with that, right? Like, it's not.
Right. Our tutors come back and say, hey, listen, Adam, you take a deep breath. I'm going to help you. Math is only hard if it's not explained to you properly. And I'm going to explain it to you properly. We're going to get through this together. It's kind of literally talking them off the ledge so that they can, because, when you're frustrated and you have anxiety, learning is almost impossible. So we've got to get you into the right frame of mind. And we deal with students who have food insecurity. We have students who are not properly housed. And again, and that's a lot, especially in the community college environment. I mean, there's just a lot of what they need help with isn't simply, I forgot the Pythagorean theorem. Can you remind me what it is? It's a much more emotional state. And, there was a company, Khan Academy had, they did their AI tutor, and they just announced recently they're kind of taking it off the market and they're going to rethink it because students weren't using it. Because, again, if you want to get a quick answer, lots of tools can help you with that.
Yeah.
You really want somebody to help you, no matter how much the language models are programmed to be like, oh, that's a good idea, or wow, that's a great idea. It's not genuine human interaction. And I think people miss it. And so we were we were very, very, very anti-AI, spring of 2025. Just, this is the one. And what I've learned very quickly was schools are going to still just start buying AI tutoring. And companies like us are just going to be, because we are obviously much more expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm bringing real human beings to the table. Somebody, AI, you can offer a price. And so last fall, I was at a conference out in California. The community college system puts on the Futures Conference out there. It's a great, great, great show up in the Bay Area. And I spent a lot of time talking to people about AI and what they were doing. And I realized that there were a lot of lunatics. There were a lot of people claiming that they fixed education and that their one AI tool is going to make everybody smarter and fix it all.
Wow.
But then I met a lot of people who were much more intentional and deliberate and careful and cautious, and that really turned me on to the fact that we can't fight AI. We're going to lose. Right, we're going to lose. It would be like companies. It would be like people who fought the internet.
Yeah,
when it was coming out. Like, we don't need the internet.
That was the thing. It's funny to laugh at now. People might joke, but not. That was the thing.
People like our magazine. They're always going to want to get a hard copy of it, right?
Oh, newspapers.
People love reading newspapers.
They like the ink. Yeah.
Right. And so the other thing that we're launching, just another example, is we have a lobby. When you come into tutoring. Now, this is a human being in a lobby. We have audio and video and app sharing and a whiteboard, and we have all these ways to tutor you once we know what you want. Yeah. But you come into a text lobby, it works. It works great on a phone. It's just back and forth text so that we can establish, okay, I see your names, Adam. I know what school you came from. You came into a group that suggests you want help with chemistry. Do I got that right? Do you have a problem specifically that you're working on? Do you have a general question? And what is it that you need help with specifically? And then I can say like, oh, well, why don't we screen share so you can show me the tool you're using? Or why don't we go to the whiteboard and you can put your problem on there, whatever that is. Well, we're going to experiment with an AI agent to do this. And the reason we're doing it is, one, we charge by the hour, by the minute. And so all of that time that the tutor spent getting from hello to, okay, I'm ready to start tutoring you now, that's paid time. And our tutors, they're not rushed, but they feel rushed because they know schools look at this. Why did this session take 36 minutes versus that one taking 22 minutes? Why did this is the school's money, so they're very they see all the stats, they see all the details. And so what we think we can do is this tool won't give you any help.
Yeah,
it's programmed
to triage the treatment, kind of like in medical, right? It's
going to vet the questions that you may have. It's going to make sure that you're going to be in the right place. And when it's done, it's going to say, okay, great, I'm going to connect you. And so now you connect to the tutor. But a lot of this information is now presented to the tutor. There's still going to be a introductory phase. Like the tutor can't skip the, hi, Adam, I'm Vinny. How are you? Nice to meet you. Like that's, but I don't need to confer. I don't need to make sure that you're in the right subject. You've already identified the question you have. And so we can save some amount of time, be much more effective. So now it doesn't matter how long that takes, right? So if we tried to keep it under 5 minutes, but now it takes 8 minutes, no harm, no foul, as long as the student feels engaged. We built in mechanism for the student to say, I don't want to talk to AI. You can skip the whole process. And we'll also be able to now generate AI summaries of this so that, again, now we'll be able to sort of, from a data analytics perspective, use AI to help us make the AI lobby better over time. So now we're going to pilot it this summer. We're gonna roll it out on a limited ability and the capability in the fall, and we're going to see, because the way our business model works is I have two customers. I have the school, they're the paying customer, but I have the student, and they're the using customer. And so I have to make sure that both sides of that equation are both
Mhm.
equally happy and satisfied that what we're doing works. And so those are sort of the two big things that we're doing this year for AI. The sort of the logical
Yeah.
continuum of that lobby is, would we in the future let that AI agent try to answer some simple questions?
Mm.
And we're very, very split internally about whether that's a good idea or a bad
Right.
idea. And there's certainly an argument that says you're just missing the point of tutoring if you do that.
Mm.
But there's another argument that says, well, if they just can't remember the Pythagorean theorem and they
Mhm.
just want to be reminded of what it is, and that's their only question, sure, they could have just looked it up somewhere else.
Yeah.
But how cool is it that they're coming to us
Yeah.
for?
Especially if they're using that same ecosystem for
That's right.
something that
That's
is
right.
is a different, that's not just to remember that one thing. So if you could, the more you can keep them in that one that one ecosystem, the better.
That is the theory.
Mm.
Again, I want
I'm
to be
scared
really.
too, Vinny. I don't know. I'm not casting my vote yet. I'm not that my vote matters internally.
Listen, I want to be really clear to any of my senior leadership who's watching. That decision has not been made yet. We are
Yeah.
still discussing it. We don't know if it's ever going to be a good idea. But the point is, AI definitely has a role in what we do, and we just have to make sure that we can bring it into our ecosystem, as you said, and do it in a smart, fair, honest, safe way where we're leveraging all the advantages of this awesome new technology, but we're not compromising learning, academic integrity, and the things that are very, very, very important to the people who are our paying customers. And so,
Vinny, this has been you did not disappoint. I love seeing through the education system what's happening in AI through your lenses, because you've been doing this a long time and you help a lot of people. So it's been.
You want to hear one more? You want to hear one more AI anecdote?
Oh yeah, give me. I love it.
So we hire this company, and they help us get articles published in magazines. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I've got a full-time writer, and some of us consider ourselves smart, educated, and good writers. But we thought, what a great idea! Let's use AI to make it even better. Because if you write something you think is good and you ask Claude, make this better, it'll actually sound better to you. And the magazines responded, stop using AI. And I'm like, come on, how could you possibly know? And they said, listen, we see enough of it, we can tell. So I went to my head of tutoring operations, and I said, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to ask a bunch of our writing tutors, can they tell AI? And he goes, I don't need to ask them. I can already tell you. They absolutely know when somebody uses AI.
Yeah.
It's easy to spot. And then it dawned on me. If you write one thing, you use AI to make it better, and then I send it to you, I know I use AI, but you might not know. But if you're reading 150 English comp papers a day, you can tell, you can tell.
Oh yeah.
That the AI seems like it's brilliant when you just use it once.
Yep.
But when you look at it used hundreds of times, it really doesn't have that many cool things to say.
Yeah.
It uses a lot of the same phrases and the same words over and over. You can almost tell by certain little catchphrases.
Social media is
I was completely blown away by that. I think it just kind of sums up my whole approach to AI. On an individual basis, it's probably good for you. Like my sales guys, they don't write emails anymore without running them through ChatGPT. Like they don't trust themselves. They like having something make them sound even smarter than they are. But when you're using it in mass volume, in aggregate, trends start to creep up, and you can really start to tell. And that's really sort of a negative, right? Like if it's obvious when everybody's using something and it becomes obvious to the whole world, maybe that's not such a good thing. eventually we're all going to have the same resume, right? Like ChatGPT will just make one resume. It's the only one you get. Doesn't matter what your experience or you went to school. We're all getting the same resume, and that's not going to be good for anybody.
Well, you're not going to have to worry about it, so it's all good.
I haven't updated my resume in a long time.
I was just gonna say you're not putting on any resumes, man. No, but in all sincerity, you are a pioneer in education and in tutoring, helping a lot of people, which I appreciate. Link Systems International. If people want to continue to follow your journey, to learn more and connect, I mean, how do they connect with your team?
So you can find us on www.link-systems.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Vinny Forese.
Fantastic. And for everybody that's listening to this, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so that you just click on the links, head right on over, connect with Vinny. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. You heard me right. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So hit that subscribe or follow. And Vinny, always a pleasure, man. Great to have you back on.
Thank you. I look forward to coming back someday.